Alright, welcome back. This is episode number 13 of Season 1, and this will be the season finale. We're taking a look here at the outside of the base for this episode. You'll see in these early cinematics here, I have added things all over the place. I finished up the entire exterior, adding detailing on the inner part of the ring and on all around the command central area. On the outer 3 round areas, right now I'm just calling them rounds, I added additional detailing on top of those, including those little satellite dishes, or big satellite dishes. And inside here, in the inner ring on these spokes, I added some, I don't know, biodomes or ecodomes. They're each detailed slightly differently. They started out with the same shape and everything, and same little pond and some rocks. And I did some work to try to make them each unique. So you're going to see me detail each of those as well. And I did this. I shot these, new shots here, and they're going to be part of the new opening sequence for the second season. Although, right now we're still using the original opening credits here up next. This is D13, and welcome aboard. Alright, we're back with lower detailing. So when I detailed Alpha Sector, originally on the exterior, I just did the upper half. Everything was sort of on the lower half of this, which you really didn't see very well anyway for most of the original screen, cinematics. But, I'm trying to duplicate it, not 100%. I just need to get some decent looking detailing. And I love these big old oil tanks that I PO'd here and have been using. So I'm trying to fill in a few spots with these oil tanks. Not perfectly symmetrical with the upper half, even though some of these, gun emplacements and stuff are symmetrical. I put flipped over some of these pipes and whatever this oil facility was that I turned into this, so we could sort of just finish this off, right? And I'm gonna continue all the way around the base here. Let's talk a little bit about what else I'd like to do on the exterior here. Eventually, I want to come back on the outside here, and all these places where we have little doors. I want to have some open, some closed. I'd like to put some more astronauts out on the outside. And I'd like to have some little motion going on out here. I'm not sure exactly what. Maybe some little spaceships moving around, patrolling the outside. I was even thinking of doing some docking. Docking ports, things that stick out from the sides of the base, so I can have some ships out there. And in the future, I definitely want to have ships moving around out here. So the base isn't just out here in space doing nothing all by itself. And here I am. I copied over the upper half, or the lower half, to Beta Sector. And then eventually I'm going to go over to the third one, which is Sector C, but I guess we'll call it Gamma Sector. Now we're working here on the inner radius. This is the inner part of the outer ring, and it's narrower in here. So I brought in these little platforms that I like, and I had to make them a little bit more narrow, and I'm going to get them all the way around and space them out nice. And I brought in these gun emplacements. Now, technically having gun emplacements facing your command center might not be the greatest idea. But, you know, why not, right? Let's just go with it. It looks cool, you know, and cool trumps functional, right? And we're going to get this all the way around here, and I'm going to start bringing over some other things. But yeah, I brought over some of these big old tanks, these, you know, filled with whatever, right? I had added those color rings to them in the past. So I'm just bringing them over and filling in some of the spaces on the interior of these rounds. Over, and we're going to get them over to the other sectors of the base. This is here I'm copying it over to sector A, alpha sector. Yeah, and they're not all exactly spaced the same, so some of this gets a little wonky. We got to move some stuff around. So adding the rounds. At this point I thought it'd be kind of cool to grab the roof that I made here, this giant space elevator piece that I used way back in the beginning for the command center here. And I'm trying to get a hold of it so I can copy paste it. And I finally got it, so now we're going to shrink it down and shrink some of the top of that thing way down, so I don't have these giant antennas everywhere. But I'm, you know, working to get this to fit really nice and sort of mimic what we see on the central round area. There's taking the antenna piece down. I'm just going to lower that just a little, and I'm going to go get some of the smaller rounds that I've got, you know, rotating here in the center, and we're going to move those. We're going to copy paste those out here, so I have some more motion, and I have some of these rotating command levels. I really like how they look on the center, so getting a couple of those in here was, you know, really important to me to have this sort of, you know, I wanted the look to you know, cross over all parts of the base, and you know, having these rotating things up here really is something that just adds a little something to it. And then adding this big satellite dish on top of each one of these also seemed to make sense. I mean, I got some satellite dishes in the center, but I think there should be more. I think we should be, you know, have a lot so that it's actually looking off into space in all different directions and receiving signals from everywhere. Maybe they're Star Trek subspace arrays so they can talk across the galaxy instantly. Well, almost instantly. I have an idea for the future. Once I've got this sort of all to the exterior pretty well done, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to save a separate map with the base and delete everything except for the procedural objects, lift the whole thing up in the air, and duplicate what you see on the top half on the bottom half. That way I can take some cinematics of the base looking, you know, fully like a full base, and with the upper and lower half, because right now you really are just seeing the top half and just assuming there's nothing below this. I really would love for there to be more below this at the end when I finally finish. Maybe I'll do this when I finish the series. Which I guess we're going to probably shoot for 3 series, or 3 seasons at least. Maybe more. Season 2 is going to include all of the agriculture, tree, maybe even mining. And you know, I want to do maybe an oil industry area. Now, how does that work, right? Maybe we have, you know, reclamation of liquids. I don't know what, right? You know, waste liquids, processing fuel, you know, stuff that we process liquids for, and then it's used like fuel. I don't know. At this point, I haven't given it that much thought, you know, and but here I'm doing more detailing. You see me working through the inner ring here. And yeah, so then like the third, so that'll probably encompass sector, you know, B, beta sector, or third sector, which I guess will be gamma sector. or delta. So right now, that's what we're going to do, is we're going to work on that coming up for Season 2, and then Season 3 will be whatever the third sector is. We're going to figure out what goes in there. Suggestions are welcome. And then each of the rounds that you see, that I just talked about putting those tops on, each of the round areas is going to need something. So I'm going to have to figure out what goes inside of each of those. I had some ideas. I think that might be where some of the processing buildings are and things like that for the industry. Yeah, so I can also go in there and lower the area that you're seeing, because you don't see it from the outside, from outside the base, because each of those rounds covers it, and they're not see-through. So something can go in there that can be seen when I build it and I show off to you in cinematics without the top on the base. So we'll figure something out for that. And then the central command area. So right now, it's just a whole bunch of junk inside there. It's a lot of blocks. It's a lot, asset blocks, asset cubes, and a bunch of, water filtration, all the water stuff, all of the electricity stuff. Any of that kind of stuff that's needed is inside there. And there's like a rail and roads that go off map that are in there. So that's where all that is. Here's some more inner radius work. After I got the center area done, I decided to come back. We got to get this inner radius all finished. So I'm trying to be somewhat consistent here, putting these oil tanks in next to the whatever those tanks are for, right? Maybe fuel for the weapons. Hard to say. Just looks really cool. Here I was actually trying to figure out turning off or turning on the layer for the blast shield. So the blast shield layer is kind of interesting in there, in that it helps me with smoothing things out as I work out here. Because if you're working on the edges of Alpha Sector, which is really well detailed, it really does stutter. Takes a little while actually when I load the game. The game takes forever to load. I mean, it's more than 15 minutes. It's somewhere around closer to 30. And I'm not on a weak system. My computer is pretty beefy for this, and I've done 3D stuff on it, and it really is not. This game doesn't run very well when it comes to modern systems. Because it was made for 2014, 2016, whenever this came out, 2014, I think. And there was no multi-threading at that point that was prevalent, and so here I'm taking some of these. They're from a farm building maybe. And I decided I wanted to have a little bit of more color than just the gray out here, so I copied those over. And here on the inside, I actually rotated some of these pieces, they're rotated 90 degrees on the exterior, because the exterior is, I didn't have as much space in here to work with around a lot of things, so I rotated them and they fit better in here that way. And here's this thing with this little gun emplacement, and I like this one a lot. So yeah, hopefully I can continue on all of this stuff in the future. I will come back and do a little more exterior detailing definitely next season. Although you're seeing quite a bit this season, this is pretty well done. I really like how it came out. Here I took one of those domes that I use as an arena or something like that inside, where I put a basketball arena inside. I thought I could do these little exterior, blue domes, and that would give us a little bit of color out here. So I'm grabbing all the edges of this object, the procedural object I created, so I can just get it down to that dome. And then I can take that and get it at the right angle, and I can move it around. And then we'll have this little blue pop of color. And I was playing around with making it rotate. I don't remember if I left them rotating at the end or not. Maybe we'll see that in the cinematics. But here I was just going around the outside and taking a look at, hey, where's some sort of, open spots that look like something could fit there. Something like a big blue glass ball. So it really is my ambition here to actually finish this off, to continue this series, provided I don't have any problems. We just had a update. As I'm talking now, we just had the DLC drop for airports not too long ago, like a couple weeks ago, at least a week ago. And it did mess the game up. There's a lot of changes that were in the code that are not even part of the DLC. Like, they did update the game, and people are having all kinds of issues. So I can't guarantee that the series is going to continue, actually. I want to start on it again, but I have to wait. I don't want to start or to load the game and end up in a state where I really screw it up. So a lot of the mods that I use also have been having issues. I definitely had some issues with a lot of incompatible mods not too long ago that did things like the holograms and stuff in the base, the shader, the adaptive shader, and all kinds of stuff were not working properly. Now here's like an oil tank that I just love. It's one of those 1x1s, oil industry, I think, and I PO'd it and made it a little bit, changed the size of it a little bit and stuck it in here. So I just think that they look pretty cool, you know. And here I'm just using these single ones that I created, these single oil tanks, to fill in space as well. So yeah, I do want to do some spaceships. That is something coming up, I'm sure. Maybe next season. I did create a couple of exterior doorways that I had some ships flying in and out of when I was playing around trying to make the asteroids mining work. Oh, here, this is like a vault, like a quad vault thing, disaster vault or something. And whatever this was, I just loved it, and I thought, wow, I could put some of these in here just to give it some color and some interest. So I added a couple of them here, and then I just go around the whole base. These end up going everywhere on the outside, because they just give that little bit of color, that little tiny bit of a different color than just gray. It's not, honestly, you just can't stare at gray all day. That's sort of like the weather here in Seattle. What did I used to say? The Gears of War. I love that game, but it's guys wearing gray shooting guys wearing gray on a field of gray. So it's like so hard to tell the difference between certain things in that game. But man, was that game fun. I think I played 1 and 2, or maybe just 1 and 2. Had them from the Xbox 360 maybe. I don't know. I haven't done much console gaming as of late. I don't even have one of the more modern, either of the two modern consoles. I did used to have a lot of consoles. I still have a collection going way back to the Atari 2600 and Intellivision, ColecoVision, all of those things. Some of my favorite gaming was back on those old systems. So here we're just now starting to copy over big tons of stuff. So because I did one sector, and I'm going to grab as much as I can for the detailing of that sector and copy it over to the other two sectors. Yeah, I mean, these are, I group them and then I put them over here. Yeah, right, we are kind of in a situation where they are the same. But you don't really necessarily notice it. And then I have to do things like this where I had some unique areas and I've just filled them in with other stuff. So they're not perfectly the same. Like, I've copied over a lot of little chunks like this, like these little buildings, but they're all in the exact same spots on each of the different segments. Yeah, like this whole, I made that a little group so I could just bring the whole thing over because the inside ones are a little narrower. And here I am just sort of, piecemeal, just doing little bits and pieces. Not sure what I would even call these little pieces I'm moving around. They're like these little domes that are open on the inside. Not sure what I intended those to be. So now we're sort of down to the exterior finishing touches here, where I've almost got the exterior completely filled in. Like each of these little segments here, is finally filled in going around. I didn't do that much detailing on the rounds because I was thinking that's where maybe ships will dock and things like that. But yeah, so here we go, just finishing up these last little empty areas. So I do have spaceships. Again, I was talking about those. I have a ton of them that I exported. I took them from the workshop. They're all planes or blimps or whatever, and I set up a fake city, and I went into the city and I dumped the assets out using mod tools, and then I imported some of them as buses. The idea there is that if I'm going to have spaceships flying around out here, I'm just going to use buses. I'm going to use bus routes and invisible roads, and this will let me pick where the spaceships fly. And I can then, run the invisible road way out into the distance and have it just sort of terminate into the blackness way out in the distance. I had a thought of maybe doing some hypergate out there or something, but I'm not sure that's going to work. So here's adding some ecodomes. So this is look at this big building. This is a quad asset. And I really liked it, and it has this dome on top, and when I turned it into a procedural object, the glass dome came apart from it, so that was perfect. And then I thought, I want to do is I want this to be so that the top and bottom, when it's upside down, you also have an ecodome underneath, like the gravity's in the middle. So here I am fiddling around with this piece, just trying to think, how do I get this thing shrunk down to fit it underneath? And I just tried and I tried and I tried, and eventually I thought, oh, you know what? What if I get rid of everything except for the platform right at the top? We just shrink all this junk down, get rid of it. Then I can flip the platform over. There's a little light or something way at the top there that I got rid of. So we'll flip this over and we'll just stick it underneath the other part. So we get a dead center, drop it down below, and then I can do the same thing with the dome. I can just take the dome. I wanted to shrink the dome's height just a tiny bit. So there you go. And flip it over and we'll put it underneath. So now we have sort of a symmetrical top bottom dome thing. So I'm not going to detail upside down because you won't see this very often, because what I'm doing is I'm centering it in height-wise right on these spokes, and then I'm going to put them on each side of the spoke here and put a little connector in between. I'm looking for something to put up here. It's funny because I shrunk this down and I already had done this before and completely forgot I had done it. So I did the exact same thing I had done before, but I also took off additional little, vertices here, like the ends of the stairs and things like that. And so I could put this right on this platform. So this is sort of like a helicopter platform or something weird like that. And I thought, I'm going to get rid of that. I just want to cover that platform over with something. So maybe this is like fuel or water. Maybe it's water for something for the ecodome. It has something to do with it. So now what I want to do is I want to connect the two. I want to make a copy of this, and I want to connect them with something. So I was thinking a pipe. I was trying different sizes. Wasn't sure what I could do here, but eventually I just went with. You'll see what I went with in just a moment. I went with this piece right here. And I thought at first I was going to leave it really big like that, and then I decided I would shrink it. So I got rid of the bottom half, shrunk it, reflipped it. So you saw me do this in like the first episode, I think, where I was building these spokes. So now I've got an all new spoke, like a mini spoke. It's easy to speak. Alright, so there it is. I'm going to center that in here, and or get this so it sticks out each side. We're going to put an ecodome on each side of this. And I'm going to just copy this around to all of the spokes. And then we're going to detail. Alright, so I put in one of these, here I'm using the waterfall, the asset that I've used before. I used it in Thundertown, and I've used it other places. And I've got this flat piece of surface network, so I can put trees and props and things more easily on here, because this is just a big procedural object. So in order to get them the right height, I can set them on the side over here and test out, grab some different trees and plants and things, so I can see what they look like, and then I can move them over to the ecodome. Alright, so in this first ecodome, or in this ecodome, I was thinking I want to do a little, like a beach resort. So I went and got a lot of the resort stuff that I had used elsewhere in the casino. A lot of the little sunbathing people, and some rainbow umbrellas and different color things. And here's like one of those swimming people, and I just put them right on the surface, and it looks like they're swimming around in the water there. So here I am copying it over the. You can see I'm copying over all the the little lounge chairs. So every one of these ecodomes is slightly different, and I wouldn't say slightly different. They're completely different. I use a different set of trees and bushes and shrubs, pretty much for each one. A little bit of a different theme for each one. I just got to get all the people in here and at the right height, so we get them on their chairs or in the water, or so sink them down a little bit into the water, so it looks like there's some depth to the water. I imagine that this would be another one of the luxury resort areas, but also an area where they were trying to reproduce different habitats, different ecologies of different planets, where people who come to the base and from another planet might feel like they can get a little vacation at home, so to speak. Like the people who are here might have lived on a planet where there was a lot of these big red mushrooms, and the little mushrooms, right? So I mean, these may not be humans. They might be humans who colonize another planet, but this is sort of their way of getting a little slice of home. And I really love these mushrooms, how they're trees, so they sway like trees do. Then I was looking for some shrubbery to go in here just to cover sort of the two-dimensional, or the surface in here is just bumpy and two-dimensional. It's just a single texture. So in order to make this look a little cooler, look like it's a little more three-dimensional, putting in these actual trees and bushes was really important to me to make this look really good. I'm also going to be using some large boulders to sort of just vary these up a little bit. I mean, each of the ecodomes is identical to start. So, and we put a little pagoda in there. Cabana, what do you call it? So just getting a few more people just to help try to finish this one off. This was probably the most intricately detailed one of the ecodomes that I did. Although I did one with you'll see coming up with some platforms, some wooden raised platforms. And there's Ecodome 1. So now we're looking at another one here, another ecodomes. So both of these, I'm just taking some of these shrubberies and putting them in here. And this one I did with, I sort of did a couple of these off screen and came back in and finished them on camera. So this one is a lot of purple trees. It's more like Ecodome 3 or 4 or something. I probably should put a number on the side of each one. Oh, this was the purple tree ecodome. But those trees are so cool. And this one I used a different color mushroom. I use these big orange mushrooms in here and none of the small mushrooms. Each of them I put a tiny little like roof door, like a concrete door, right next to that patch of flowers in each of the domes. I mean, since this is the third one I showed you, we'll just call this one number 3, and this one here is going to be number 4. In case you want to reference it in the comments below. So here I was looking first at that yellow tree. Really, really cool tree. I think it's called a flower tree on the workshop. And then again, I grabbed some of these trees that I used around the amusement and Star Trek areas, Starfleet areas, and filled this one in. Did a lot of these yellow ground flowers. I was looking for a really specific color, mix of colors in here. Trying to remember what number we should be. We should be up to number 5 soon. So here I'm putting. This is where I put the boulders in. I thought it'd be really interesting. Just grab a couple of different boulders and PO them and shrink them down. Now they're not quite the same as the boulders that are part of the ecodome itself, but doing this gives me the ability to sort of vary this a little bit so that it isn't quite. So they aren't quite identical. Again, like I said, I wanted to make them a little bit unique each. So here we have 2 more to go. And we'll just call whichever one I work on next number 5. So here I wanted a building. I wanted a bigger building in here, sort of like a cafe somebody could go to. And here I was thinking I'm going to put a path in here, like a working path. Originally I thought maybe I can do working paths here and have people walking around in here and put a couple of the raised park people generators in here. And then I could run the path down and through the tube that we created over there. And there's a road that goes through there. And I could put a little piece of road in there that's ground level and put some buildings, service stuff, a place for people to get dropped off so they can walk up here. I didn't do it. Mainly because I had a lot of footage already for this final episode of the season. Here I'm building a little dock with some picnic areas. And I thought, let's leave something for the future. I can come back and I can add invisible paths here and I can add park generators and things so people will come out here. And the ecodomes will actually have moving people in them. And, they'll have a function. So here you see, this one I wanted to be more green. I had a lot of bright colors in all the other ones. And this one I want to be more foresty, just taking in the sights of the waterfall, things like that. So this one was a lot more green than the others. These might not be the last of the ecodomes. I was thinking of sliding these over and adding another pair to each of the spikes, or each of the spokes, or putting them elsewhere, sticking out of the base. I'm not sure yet. Right now, though, for now, we're gonna have 6, and this is the 6th one. So here I was looking for different alien trees, and I found some really interesting spiky trees and these white mushrooms, and these lighter colored mushrooms. I just thought, wow, hey, that's a really good look. So I thought this purple underneath them, this like fields of lavender almost, but is pretty damn cool. I just loved how it looked, and thought we're gonna stick to this. I think I threw a couple other some of these reddish trees in here. They go really well with the purple underneath. And this is more of an this is not overly used right now. I didn't put any people walking around in here, not like the other one with the platform. So there's number 6. And we're just about to the cinematics. So you won't see these ecodomes in the cinematics, you're seeing them now. And here we go. Cinematic time. Sit right back. And we'll see you again in a couple of months for Season 2. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you'll like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and we'll see you again soon. If you like this video, check out these cool videos.